What we're going to do here is look at the most missed questions from last Friday's test on elections and political parties. You will need something to write with along with a highlighter if you have one. Follow along, and whatever I write up here on the screen, you need to copy down on your copy of the questions that you were given. All of these questions, students, a lot of students failed, or a lot of students did not get correct, so 30 to 40% of students got these correct, which is why we're going to go over them now. All right, let's look at number 9, which is the first one on your paper. Which of the following best completes the graphic organizer? Rising campaign costs lead to question mark. So what we're looking for here are all of the answer choices, or all of the things that the rising cost of campaigning can lead to. One of those is opportunities for or to run for political office are limited. So what this means is that there are people in the country who could do a good job in an elected office that can't run because they don't have enough money. Something else that occurs because of rising campaign costs is that political action committees are established. So groups like the National Wildlife Federation or the National Rifle Association, they will create political action committees to raise money for candidates whose platforms they support or whose beliefs they support. Candidates have to perform many fundraising activities, so they have to raise money. They're not given the money by the government. They have to raise their own, so they have to do this because of rising campaign costs. And then lastly, wealthy individuals have an advantage when running for office because they already have the money. Let's look at the next cartoon, or the next question has a political cartoon in it. There's a lady with the word democracy written on her dress, and then she's carrying a dollar sign that says campaign costs. What's the main idea of this cartoon? So you need to look for an answer choice that's negative, because it doesn't look like she's having a good time carrying all of the weight of campaign costs. So looking here at just the question, campaign costs are a major source or cause of the national debt. That's not true, because none of the money that goes to campaigning comes from the government. B, Americans fail to adequately support the expenses of political candidates. That's not true. They raised $900 million. So it's not like we are not supporting them with political contributions. C, campaign advertising has no influence on voter turnout. This cartoon has nothing to do with advertising, and it has nothing to do with the amount of people that show up to vote on election day. So the correct answer for this question is D. High campaign costs negatively affect the political process because it limits the type of people that can run for office. The next question that a lot of you missed was number 15. It says, a candidate for president won 51% of Virginia's popular vote. What percentage of Virginia's electoral votes were received? So when everybody went to go vote on election day, 51% of people voted for this candidate. So then after those ballots are counted, or after those votes are counted, then the electoral votes are determined. And in this country, we have a winner-take-all system, which means if you win the popular vote, you win all of the electoral votes. So the answer to this question was 100%, because if they won the popular vote, then they get 100% of the electoral votes. That one was a little tricky. Number 17 was a question a lot of people missed, so let's look at that one. It says, for the 2012 presidential election, the Republican Party has several different individuals running. To help the Republican Party decide who to support, they will hold primary elections in several states. A primary election is an example of which function of a political party. So the important word here would be primary election, because you need to think about, what do primary elections decide? Primary elections decide who the candidates will be. So this is an example of recruiting and nominating candidates, and it's the nominating aspect. The primaries help the political parties decide who they're going to nominate for office. Number 19 was another question a lot of people missed. Which third party revolved around Theodore Roosevelt in 1912? The correct answer here was the Progressive Party. That was kind of, you knew it or you didn't know it. And then the last one that a lot of students missed was number 22. This was another TEI. Which of the following are true about the presidential campaign advertisement? So let's look at this. It tells us the political party. It tells us some years here, 1861 to 1904. It says to assure continued prosperity, elect Theodore Roosevelt for president. So one thing we know for sure is that it represents the Republican candidate because it's saying Republican Party. Represents the Democratic candidate would not be correct because it just shows the Republican. Then we've got the year of the election. And so it says that the Republican Party has lasted from 1861 to 1904, which 1904 we would assume would be the current year when the election is occurring. So that's on there. The candidate's foreign policy position. Foreign policy has to do with their relationships with foreign countries or other countries. And it doesn't say anything about that, but it does stress the goal of continuing to do well. It says to assure continued prosperity. So it's the first, third, and the last answer choices for this question. This one was pretty difficult. All right, so you need to take those papers and put them away in your binder or your folder and hold on to them because, like I said before, you may see these questions later.